straight after when the earthquake stopped, there was me and this other girl. We decided to run into the yoga room to go and get some mats and blankets because we didn't know what was going to happen after this. None of us had been in an earthquake before. And we ran into this building ever so quickly before the next aftershock came. And it wasn't until the end of the day when we went and inspected all the buildings, when we went to the other side of the building, the wall had broken away from the roof and it was on a slant 5 centimetres. That roof could have caved in any time. And I sat there and I thought, how many times in mining have we been told inspect first before you do? You know, we have these little booklets that we have to tick off our inspections, you know, take fives, good to goes, whatever we call them. Each mine site calls them something different.
Hello and welcome to the Beers with a Miner podcast, episode number 15. This week is a happy hour episode. My name is Mad Mumzie and I've been driving the huge dump trucks in Australian open cut mines for over 10 years now. I wish I had $1 for everyone who said to me, "How does a little thing like you drive those big trucks? You must be rich. Oh, how do I get a job doing that?" My mining friends ask these questions all the time too. This is what started the Mad Mumzie journey to share stories and tips from living a mining lifestyle and to let others know what it's really like. Not everyone is cut out to be a miner, but why not? What does it take to thrive and survive in this industry? Now, let's dig in. Get it? Dig? Mining? It cracked me up. Today I chat with Lisa Mirtsopolous from Dump Truck Discovery. Lisa has been named in the 100 Global Inspirational Women in Mining and was a finalist in the CME Women in Resources Awards in 2013. She is also a mentor and inspiration for me, Mad Mumzie. I first came across Lisa a few years ago when I was looking into writing a book about getting a job in the mines. Lisa's book and website, Dump Truck Discovery, showed up in my searches over and over again. I was disheartened at first, thinking, oh, no, someone's beaten me to it, and in a much more thorough way than I'd ever considered. It did, however, change my path and the messages that Mad Mumzie now talks about with you. I reached out to Lisa saying how much I loved her book and all that she was doing for the mining industry. It was in fact Lisa who encouraged me to keep going. There's always room for more people to talk about our lifestyle, and a new friendship was born. You'll hear more of our story as this episode continues, but for now, I would like to say hi Lisa and welcome to the Beers with a Miner podcast.
Hi Mad Mumzie, great to be here.
Yes, it's really, really good to have you here on episode 15. It is Sunday afternoon here on quite a cold Queensland afternoon, I must say. I cranked out the Milo and a piece of cake earlier. I felt like I was in South Australia, very unwinter-like for us. What's the weather like where you are?
Well, much the same. It's cold, wintry and raining.
I suppose it's winter, but, you know, here it's meant to be sunny and brisk in the morning and no rain. I've given our listeners a brief intro to you and to your brand. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself? Who is Lisa Mirtsopolous, the person?
Wow. Lisa Mirtsopolous is a person that goes out and grabs whatever opportunities come in front of her. So when I left school, I wanted to travel. So the ideal job for me, I thought at the time, was to be a travel agent. And I travelled around the world for 11 years, exploring, discovering, entertaining, learning new languages, eating different kinds of foods. It was great. And then I came back to Perth eventually and met a girl who had been driving dump trucks up in the Pilbara, small and petite, like. And I thought, oh my God, how could she drive a dump truck? If she can, I can. So she planted the seed in my mind, and it took 3 years of applying and talking to people and going off traveling and coming back again and trying again. And I eventually got in, and my initial idea was just for a couple of years, save up a deposit to buy a house. But I had no idea I was going to enjoy the mining industry that much. So 11 years later, I'm still in mining.
11 years.
Yes.
And that's good to hear that you've chosen to stay because you enjoy it, not because you needed to for the money. Like so many people, Mad Mumsie's spoken about that before. I'm going to do 3 years, save up money, buy a house and get out. And they're still there 20 years later, can't dare leave because they're in that much debt. So it's nice that you've stayed because you've chosen to and because you do enjoy the lifestyle and the industry.
Yes. It's interesting, but it does change over time, because initially it was an exciting industry to be in. It was something completely different. I've gone from an office into working outdoors on a mine site, and so over the years I learned a lot about mining and how a mine develops, and even working in the office, what the engineers do, the geologists do, etc. But over time, things start to change, and now after 11 years, the body's getting tired of doing in 12-hour shifts and being away from family and friends for so long. In the beginning, you could deal with it. Now it's like you're missing out on things all the time because you're on the mine site. And so you start to question yourself, is this still what you really want? And so then what happens is you end up staying because you've been earning all this money, that to then find another job back in the city with the same money you can't find. So then you're in this little dilemma. How do I drop a salary? Am I going to be able to cope? You get so used to the salary from the mining industry that you don't want to give it up. And so that's when I start seeing people getting frustrated in their jobs. They're basically there for the money. And what happens with having a higher salary, you're able to borrow more money from the banks. And so people have overextended themselves and purchased housing that's probably out of their reach. And then now they're forced to stay into mining in order to maintain the debt. So I do question sometimes whether people are happy in the mining industry, because really money is not the be all end all. You've got to enjoy what you're doing. My biggest motto is, if you're not happy what you're doing, then don't do it. So yes, I'm quite big on Dump Truck Discovery to tell people, do it because you enjoy it and you want it and it's a passion. Don't do it for the money.
That's a good message, and that's a huge part of why I do the podcast and why I have the blog. And because people think they get a job in the mines, get the big bucks, it's going to fix everything in their life. But they don't realize how many other things it might bugger up, because it's going to change so much in their life as well, and they don't even think about it. There's so many things, like even just rosters for being away. In our pre-chat there, you were saying you don't really enjoy 2 weeks on and one off anymore. You prefer the week on, week off. Is that still your preferred roster, 1 and 1?
Absolutely. If they ever bring in 1 week on, 2 weeks off, I'll take it in a second. That would be my most ideal. And obviously, we're getting the same salary.
Obviously, yeah, that's right. Oh, I like that. That'd be good.
Yeah, but 1 and 1 is better for the body and the mind and family interactions. Yeah. I did 2 and 1 for 7 years.
Right.
Yeah, by the 7th year, I had enough. I was exhausted.
Pete, that's another thing. People don't realise how much it can take out of you. And so when you did 2 and 1, did you do 1 week of nights and 1 week of days and then a week off?
Yeah, it was always, the first week was days, the second week was nights, and then you had 1 week off. So you're always coming home off night shift. So it takes about 2 to 3 days for your body to switch from night shift back to day shift mode. So the first day, literally, you don't do anything at home. You're just a zombie for the first 2 days. The first day, I can't even drive a car. I'll have an accident. And then before you know it, you've just got your body back to normal and you have to fly back to work again.
Yeah.
You don't really have a full week to yourself at home.
No, because you've got a couple of days of travel in there.
Yeah.
And also, like you say, the getting over it. I always say to my daughter when I come home, anything that I achieve on this first day after night shift is a bonus. So I pretty much, because I've always got, lists and lists of 50 things I should be doing now that I'm back home. And I just let myself have that first day, and anything I achieve is a good thing. And if I choose to achieve nothing in the end, well, that's okay. I was getting over night shift. But I was talking to a friend who just came back from Hawaii, and she'd never experienced jet lag, and neither have I. Haven't been overseas. I've been to Fraser Island and Magnetic Island up past Townsville, and it was her first time overseas. And she said in Hawaii, it was crazy because they'd lost a day and all the things that you hear about. And I've heard getting over night shift being described like getting over jet lag. I know that you have travelled overseas. Would you agree with that?
I think it's even worse than jet lag.
Really?
Yeah. Because you've just conditioned your body to stay awake for 7 nights in a row. Jet lag happens over a 12 to 24-hour period where you've got to now adjust the whole body of what it's been doing for the last 7 days. So it does take a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Jet lag's they've just lost one day or one night really, whereas we have totally turned our whole time clock around, especially doing 7 full nights. At the moment I do 5 and 5, so I do 5 days, 5 off, 5 nights, and you get in such a routine. But some of the rosters here, the lifestyle roster, they'll do 2 days. They always start on days and finish on nights. So they do 2 or 3 days on and then have a pajama day and then do 2 or 3 nights. And then you're all over the place. I've done that roster as well, and you don't know what day it is because you just do a couple of days and then a couple of nights, and then you're on break again.
Yes. I don't know why they came up with the idea of doing days first and then nights. I think some companies felt it was safer for them that we do the shift change at work and then come and do nights in the second week. But in saying that, just the other day when I was looking through jobs in Seek for my Chuck Discovery Tribe, I saw a company advertise a 2-in-1 roster where the first week is night shift and the second week is days.
Ah.
Very first time I've seen that in Australia.
Yes, I don't think I've seen that ever either. I wonder why they've changed that. It might be more to suit their travel arrangements or something, or maybe they're listening to us workers finally.
That the people can come home off a day shift and have a full 7 days to themselves and rest and interact with the family. And because trying to adjust your body too, you can be a little bit ratty at times with your family and friends because you're not all together there just yet.
That's a nice way of putting it. Ratty. I'm always asking my daughter what day it is.
Yes.
So what day is it again? Especially because I do 5 and 5, so I could start on a Saturday. I'm all over. It keeps moving, and oh no, last week after night shift, I looked at her and she said, "You were going to ask me what day it was again, weren't you?" Because I'd already asked her 4 times that day. I said, no, I wasn't, but I was.
There's been many times I've woken up and I thought it was a Saturday and it's a Wednesday, and your brain totally gets confused.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's very common in probably anyone that does shift work, because let's face it, it's not just us in the mining industry. There's plenty of nurses and all sorts of people that work shift work. But I guess most of them get to come home each night, which not always. I guess also a lot of those travel too. But that's something else where people think, oh, dream job in the mines, or they don't even think about things like that. So it's good that there's people who are starting to get the word out there and let people know what they're in for before they even get into it. Really, can you do it?
Yes. And I do remember you writing a blog for my website too. Are you cut out to be a miner?
Yes, I did. That's right. You were my first person who said yes to be a guest blogger. I was so excited. I was doing the running dance in my kitchen. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, because I refer a lot of people to that blog. When I can see that they're getting dazed by the money, I was like, well, first of all, let's see if you're going to enjoy the job too, because I don't want people to become miserable and depressed all because of money. So, I do refer them to that blog. So thank you for that.
Oh no, well, thank you again. But I actually spoke about that in. Let me have a look which episode it was. Yeah, episode 4, Brain Dead Truckie. So if you head to madmumzie.com/beers4, that's the number 4, you can listen to that episode there where I delve in a little bit deeper about things that you can do when you're out there so you don't have to become a brain dead truckie, which no one wants to be. Yeah, because you can make good use of your time while you're out there operating. Have you tended to do that, Lisa?
Keep busy? Yes. I find most of my ideas download while I'm driving. And it's because you free up your brain. You've got no phones and no computers around you, and your brain is just free to think and come up with all sorts of little ideas in my head. Plans to how to improve the website, plans for beyond mining, fundraising, like I did a calendar. So all these ideas pop into my head while I'm driving, so I make use of it. But at the same time, you also have to remain focused because an accident in a mine site can be quite dangerous.
So do you write lists when you're at work, when you're out in your truck, Lisa?
Yes, I keep a little notebook in my pocket. I write down all my ideas and things I've got to do when I get home because I do tend to forget, especially after night shift. I have a book on my bedside table and in the kitchen, so I'm always writing. Actually, I've got my book of lists here right now, things that I meant to do this break, and I've only got through half of them.
It's amazing when you're at work, the possibilities of all the things you're going to do while you're on break, and then you get home, you're dreaming really that you were ever going to do all of those things.
I know, it's amazing because you have 7 days off, 7 full days, and you think, wow, I'll get a lot done. And then you think, by the end of the week, where did all the time go? I don't know how I would imagine coping if I was actually back in a city job working Monday to Friday. How would I get things done when I can't even get them done with 7 days off?
That's right. But you'd be home every night.
That's true.
But you've still got to, come home and cook tea and catch up with family and do the chores and be well rested and ready to go back in the morning.
Yes. Yes, so it's most important to keep a list.
Yes, my trouble is, as Mad Mumzie listeners know, that I have too many bloody lists. I have to get a new book because that book's getting a bit untidy and messy, so it can be a whole day event to sort all my lists out, Lisa.
Yes.
I really do have issues.
I started organising my lists. So I keep one list, put everything on one list, and I prioritise them. Mm-hmm. And then I allocate a number per day. So that way it doesn't seem like it's too big to get all accomplished. If I can get 1 or 2 done a day, and because every day I'm getting something accomplished, it motivates me for the next day to get the next 2 done. So I found I'm actually getting more done that way.
Well, actually, funny you say that. Just started implementing that last week. I bought another lovely new notebook. It's about A4 size. I'm like, oh, this one's pretty because they have so many now that have inspirational covers on them.
Yes.
Oh, you can do anything, dream big and all these. Oh, I need that. I'm a bit of, I wouldn't say I'm addicted to stationery. But, I when I wasn't working there for a while and I just didn't have money to spend in the stationery aisle, I literally used to put my hand up next to my eyes when I was in Woolies and say, don't go down there. You don't need a new pen or a new notebook. Don't go into the stationery aisle. But what I started doing was writing in this brand new lovely book a master list. So because I have Mad Mumzie, but I also do other things like I'm helping my mum with her art. lynnolson.com if anyone's interested. And
Fantastic art,
setting up,
by the way.
pardon?
Fantastic art, by the way, too.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and so much of her stuff now that she's focusing on is the Great Barrier Reef and corals.
Mm.
Oh, and they're just so stunning. And so I've recorded basically a few online courses, and we've set up a school at learn.lynnolson.com where you can, it's as if you're doing a workshop with mum, and I'm in the background and I'm asking her all the dumb questions because I don't know anything about art. But it's so many things that she doesn't even realise that someone who doesn't paint doesn't know. She just knows so much now about how she does it, and I'm trying to get it on the record. So it's been good. It's been fun, but it's also another time-consuming thing when you've got all these other things going on, as well as every now and again I go, yeah, and I have to go to work too.
Yes.
And better step away from the device and go to sleep because you're getting up at 4:30. Oh dear. So that might be a good way to bring up. You're also a trainer, I believe. How did your passion for training people on site come about?
Oh, I've always enjoyed training people. I can remember as a child teaching my sister how to memorize things for school and cousins. And when I was a travel agent, I would train new starters on how to book travel. So it's always been in my nature to help people. So in my first job as a dump truck driver, after 9 months of driving, the supervisor, they obviously liked the way I drove, because initially when I arrived, they thought, how can an office chick drive a truck? And I totally blew them away by getting passed out on truck, or that means being assessed competent to drive within 3 days. And,
Oh, go girl.
and that shut them up. And then 9
Yeah.
months later, they asked me to be a trainer because they wanted everyone else to drive the same way as me.
Fantastic.
So as soon as with my first trainee, I enjoyed it straight away. I get so much satisfaction. First of all, seeing the excitement in their faces and their eyes when they sit in the truck. It reminds me of my first day. I don't ever want to forget that. And
Sorry to interrupt, can you take us to that day? Can you share that with our listeners?
that first day, standing on the ground, and I looked up. And that was only a 789, a Caterpillar 789 truck. So that's one of the mid-range trucks, and I thought it was massive.
Yeah.
And I'm standing on the ground looking at it, going, "Oh my God, how am I going to drive that?" Then climbed up the ladder, sat in there, and I was so excited. Big smile on my face. Started the engine, and when it started moving, I thought, "I am born to drive a truck." Now, to this day, the trainer tells everybody that I was holding onto the steering wheel so tight that my knuckles were white, and I don't believe him because I thought I was nice and relaxed. And he said, "No, no, no, you were holding on so tight, you were gripping that steering wheel." But I don't remember that at all. I just remember the excitement of when the truck started moving and I'm 6 meters off the ground and I could see for miles, and it was just awesome.
Wow. Yeah, I remember my first day too. It was amazing. And my scariest time was when we backed up to the tip head to dump our load off and the tray went up, because everything that's around you disappears when the tray goes up, and it's so high in the air and everything. That, I don't know why, that was the scariest moment for me when I first went in a truck. I'm like, oh no, it's gone. We've just sat here all on our own. So a 789, what's the biggest truck that you've driven?
A Terex MT 6300, so that carried 400 tons. And
Wow.
at the time, that was the largest dump truck in the world.
Yep.
Since then, the Germans, Liebherr, have come out with another bigger one. So now I'm on a mission. I've got to drive that truck because I want to still be able to say that I've driven the largest truck in the world.
I've driven, but yeah, I was a bit like that with the 797s. And then when I took my voluntary redundancy to get out of mining forever, And then I thought, oh, I'm never going to drive a 797. Oh, well, never mind. And then I went back and I drive the 797s now. But would they be a bit smaller than those?
No, 797, probably on par, about similar.
Um,
Yeah, not much difference.
yeah, because I've driven the Terex 4400s,
Yeah,
but not, what did you say yours were?
the
66,
6300.
63. No, I haven't driven those. But the 797s and that Terex truck too, they're just so much bigger. I look at a 793 now and go, oh, it's so cute and little. Whereas that's what I learnt in was a 793, and they were massive.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the second part of my of why I like training, is because when I see the trainees get the enjoyment that they've achieved driving these massive machines competently, because it brings me back to my time. And so, yeah, as you go up the bigger trucks, it's even more exciting. Yeah, you don't lose that excitement.
No. Do you ever get sick of saying the same thing over and over again?
No, each person is quite different actually. So your training style has to change for each person, because we've
Mm.
got different levels of abilities and different learning abilities. So each person you train is different for me.
Yeah. I was what they call an instructor or a content expert,
Hmm.
is it? And then they changed all the rules, and we basically got sacked. We're not allowed to train anyone, or we weren't. I'm like, oh, okay, that's quite good actually, because we'd trained so many people. They hired heaps of newbies, greenies, clean skins at this site that I was on, and they didn't have enough trainers. So they basically said to us, you have to help us train them. Who else is going to do it? And then we had big rains, so that held up the process. So there were people that were starting, and the people that had already been there for 2 or 3 weeks hadn't hardly done anything because it had been raining. So we had 30 or 40 new people, all that needed training at once. But I found it inspiring, and like you're saying, it was awesome to see these people who'd never been in a truck and then get them to become good truckies, and like, yeah, I trained her. Now there's a couple that are actually trainers themselves.
Yeah.
I think, oh, that's my girl, or a couple of guys, but mainly girls. I seem to have, and yeah, you spend a lot of time in a truck with them as well. I only on one occasion I pulled up at the crib hut and said to the supervisor, I can't train this man. You have to get him out. Someone else has to do it. He ended up not getting through. He just had this attitude, like he didn't want a woman telling him anything, let alone how to drive a truck.
And I've had the
Sadly,
opposite experience. I've had a female who would not take instruction from a male trainer.
oh really?
Yes, so we had we
Really?
had to put a female trainer with her. Yes.
Is that so? Why was that? Is that because he was a bit grumpy and pushy and we're a bit nicer and more patient, or
She went through 3 male trainers and she was the same with all of them. So she had an issue with males. So we boiled it down to it might have been a culture thing.
mm,
Yeah, so
personalities
she
clash?
didn't survive the training program either. So it goes to show that attitude does play a big part.
It does, and some people are just there. They're like a sponge, and they just want to learn everything. A bit like Karen, who I don't know if you've heard those interviews. Karen in episode 2 and 3. I'll leave the links in the show notes. By the way, the show notes for this episode will be madmumzie.com/beers15. That's the number 15. Karen, what's the right word? Attributes a lot of her passion to becoming a dump truck operator to you. She talks about you a lot in those 2 episodes and your book and how inspirational you were. And she eventually went from being a cleaner to a dump truck operator. And I recorded her journey. We sat down and chatted about it and cracked a beer when she got her job, and then cracked another beer when she'd driven her first truck and how excited she was. And she's in her 50s. and she tried for 6 years to get a job. Well, you were trying for 3, was it? You said,
For
Lisa?
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot harder nowadays. The mining downturn is all you ever hear about at the moment. As I record this, it's 2016, middle of 2016. But there are still some people hiring greenies or new people, traineeships. Are you seeing many of those where you are?
Yes, I have seen a lot lately in the last 2 months. I've been posting them up on the Facebook page, the Dump Truck Discovery Facebook page. Yes, I have seen quite a few. I've probably advertised 6 or 7 in the last 2 months. So a lot of people have left the industry. I'm also noticing that mining companies, and this might sound bad, but mining companies are looking to hire trainees because they are cheaper to begin with. Especially when we're in an economic downturn, companies will look at ways to reduce costs. And unfortunately, new people and casuals are one way of reducing costs for a mining company.
They are, and that's a huge thing over here in Queensland at the moment. I don't know if we mentioned at the start that you're actually over in Western Australia.
Yes, born and bred in WA, so I've worked on 4 mine sites in Western Australia, out in the goldfields, up in the Pilbara, and now south of Perth, so all over the state.
All over, and that's why a lot over in Western Australia are more FIFO jobs, aren't they? Fly in, fly out, because it's just too far to drive. More so than here in Queensland. We had a big inquiry into FIFO jobs because they were having FIFO. I know Mad Mumzie has spoken about this before, so I won't go on a rant. But FIFO jobs, when there's people in the town who couldn't get a job there, who were looking experienced and looking to work in these new mines, but you had to move to Brisbane or Cairns to get a job 5 minutes away from your house. But in Perth, it's a bit different because so many of the mines are isolated.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, we don't have any mines that are close by to Perth. Basically, you can divide the state into half. So from Perth and the goldfields below, all those mine sites are drive in, drive out. So Kalgoorlie, Coolgardie, they're all drive in, drive out. It's probably 40, 50 mines out that way.
Oh, okay.
But then when you go north of Perth, so say from Geraldton upwards, and that's including the Pilbara, they're all in remote areas, not near a town. So majority of those are going to be FIFO, whether it be from Perth, from Geraldton, from Carnarvon. They've picked certain towns along the coast to fly to the Pilbara.
All right, so that explains why. I never realised that the southern part of it is more drive in, drive out.
Yeah.
Do they still have the same sort of rosters then if it's drive in, drive out?
Majority of the rosters are 2 and 1.
Oh, righto.
Yeah. Well, then when you got the drive-in, drive-outs, that's when the rosters change, where you can get the 7 and 7 or what we call 5 and 2. So 5 days on, 2 days off, which is your basic working week, things like that. They can be a bit more creative in their roster.
Yeah. We call 5 and 2 a real job.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So well, I'll just change tack a little bit here, Lisa. You mentioned earlier your calendar.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about that? I have it, by the way, and I love it.
Oh, great. Yeah, that was an idea that just dropped into my head one day, where I wanted to raise money. I was already working with a charity here in Perth where I provided some quotes for a diary that this charity wanted to make not last year, the year before, to sell to make money for their programs that they have for helping disadvantaged women. And then I got enjoyment out of that, helping with that charity, that I decided I wanted to do extra for them. And I came up with the idea of a calendar of female dump truck drivers. And on each page, I've given some pointers, some inspiration of how to get into mining, that it's not just a male job. Women can do the job as well, as we've shown. So I had so much enjoyment with that calendar. I was so fortunate that one of the truck drivers where I work, he was a professional photographer. So he did all the photography. We also flew up to a mine site, up to FMG, and one of the mine managers there, she's very proactive. Oh, she's very well known, Julie Shuttleworth, probably one of my inspirations that I follow in mining. Arranged for us to take some photos up at FMG as well, and so she supported the program as well. And we raised some money for the programs that they have for women who might be in disadvantaged situations, like in abusive relationships or homeless, and just giving them the knowledge and the confidence that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve.
That's right. And it's, how good is it that Julie was it? Julie Shuttleworth?
Yeah.
Has supported you and given you permission to take the photos on site, because I know that is not an easy thing. I've been trying since August last year to have a photo in front of a 797.
Yes.
Ridiculous. I gave up.
Yeah, it is. Mining, I don't know what mining companies are trying to hide. It's just a big open pit. But yeah, I tried 5 different mining companies and only 2 gave me a positive response. So, yeah.
Is that right? Oh, that's really sad to hear. Really. Well, it's great that 2 gave you positive response and have helped you out. But, you know, especially the big companies, they really have all these signs up and promote, oh, we're here to help the community and, you know, we'll match you and all these sorts of things. But then when it comes time, we're doing something good here.
Yeah.
Can you help us out? Can you support it? Silence, crickets.
Yes.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. But again, Mad Mumzie's not going to rant too much. So all these women that you photographed was a good coverage of different people, I noticed.
Yes.
From different walks of life.
Yeah, they all came from different walks of life and they all entered the mining in a different way. And even their motivation to get into mining was all different. Yeah, so that was very inspiring to see that.
It was. I really enjoyed reading their stories and to see. And I know I've met plenty of women and even the blokes. You know, it's not just about women, but so many people around here. We get a lot of cane farmers that are working out there. So they'll work driving their machines and then they'll come home and they're off working their cane farm as well. There's all sorts of people out there, old people, young people, people who've been there forever, people who just got there, people who, you know, all sorts. But one of the big things that I heard, even before I started really, was that the mining companies like women as operators. Have you come across that?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Lisa?
They do. Even my current superintendent, he only wants to employ female truck drivers.
And why?
I don't know. I think we're more patient. You know, we don't need to hoon around the mine site. You know, we're more patient and gentle with the machines, more safe, that would mean, to a mining company. I've even heard, you know, the machine fitters, even they say they would prefer the female drivers because they're more gentle on the machines. There's less maintenance required on the machines.
That's right. We're a bit easier on the gear, although I have come across some women that are trying to, you know, give it to it. It's like, really?
Yes.
Slow down, lady.
We'll still get some of them are just as good as the boys.
Yeah, that's right. And it's I've found we care, you know, I don't know if it's the mothers in us or what, but I like to keep the machine nice and a bit clean. You know, you're going to sit in that truck for a few hours at a time. Some of them you get in, they're feral. I don't know if it's like that where you are, but they've left magazines everywhere. And when was the last time anyone cleaned this place up, you know?
But, yeah, I find that can come from both genders, because I can tell you 2 guys that I work with are so super clean. They are clean freaks. Every time you hop into their truck, it is spotless. And then I've known girls to leave trucks in a right mess.
Ah, right. Oh, that's
It
interesting to hear.
depends on your personal values as a cleaning person.
Mm. I know they'll stand up at a pre-start or a toolbox meeting and say, "Oh, housekeeping has come up again," because the other crew will complain about the state of the crib hut or the machines or whatever. And they say, "You wouldn't live like that at home." And every time I hear that, I think, but there are some people that would. Some people that are just disgusting at home. So why are they going to have a clean truck or digger or anything, or crew care about what the crib hut looks like for the next crew if they're just feral pigs at home anyway and mum cleans it all up or
That's right.
or the wife or the husband, whatever.
I look at my mum and dad. Mum will leave the dishes in the sink. Dad can't stand it. He will eventually go and wash them all. So,
Ah, and she knows that if she leaves them long enough, he'll do it.
that's right. She's clever.
Gee, Jade, I'm going to take that one. No, that's not going to work for me. Oh dear. So, um, I guess the next thing that I want to bring up is a big change or a big experience that you went through, and I feel like I went through it with you because you reached out to me. We'd become a bit closer by then, and you reached out and said you were planning on going on a holiday, and would I mind being the administrator of your Facebook page while you're away for 5 weeks, I believe.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, again, little running dance in the kitchen. Lisa's asked me to help her out. This is awesome. And I get to interact with your tribe. And it was really good. I had a ball. I learned so much, and it inspired me just to keep going with all my messages and everything. And then I knew that you were off meditating with the monks somewhere or other. And it turned out that where you were was where there was a big, massive earthquake. And then I didn't hear from you for over a week, and I was still doing dump truck discovery, but I didn't let on that I don't know where Lisa is and if she's okay and what do I do? Who do I even contact to find if she's all right? And eventually, obviously, I found out that you were okay, but I know that this has had a big, massive shift in everything about you. Would you like to tell us that story?
Yes, so this was a big earthquake in Nepal, April last year, April 25th, 11:56 a.m. See, I can still remember time and date. I'll never forget
Yes.
it. um, Big, massive shift. I did not know the earth could shake that much. I've been in little tremors in Perth and Chile and Japan, and, they last 10, 15 seconds and it's over, it's done. But to feel the shaking that I felt of a 7.8 magnitude that went on for 2 minutes, it felt like 10. I was sure 10 minutes had passed, but, everything goes in slow motion. Yeah, of course it's going to change you. It's not an experience that you have every day. And it literally does shake your brain around a bit. So happy that I survived, so happy where I was, that I wasn't in any immediate danger. So fortunate that I chose to be at a yoga retreat with wide open spaces and no tall buildings around me. So
That was the angels looking after you that day, mate.
oh, I think so. I think so. So coming back from that, it changes your perspective on life. It made me realize that your life can be taken away from you at any time without notice. So that made me sit back and think, am I doing what I want to do in life? I had to go through the period of shock. I came home for 4 weeks. I stayed home for 4 weeks because I came home with shingles. So that's how much stress it caused me.
That's right.
Finally got over the shingles and I went back to work, and that's when I fell into shock, because when I walked into work, what went through my mind was, do I really want to be here? Is this what I want? 12-hour shifts, 7 shifts straight. So it started changing my way of thinking. And so whilst I did initially follow my passion when I got into mining because I was so super excited and that's where I wanted to be, it felt right. But now, 11 years on, it no longer feels right. So the earthquake made me acknowledge that perhaps it's time for me to move on to the next phase of my life. It served its purpose. I purchased a house. I purchased 2 properties. Both mortgages are now paid off. So mining has served its purpose. I now need something more. And so that's what I've been thinking over the last 18 months. What do I want to do next? And to go for it. Just like when I got the idea in my head, I wanted to drive trucks, I went for it. Even though it took me 3 years, I kept going. So I am now excited about going into a new phase in my life. Yeah.
And when you did go back to work, if I recall, did the supervisor or your workplace ask you to do a bit of a talk to the crew?
Yes, they did. It was one of my friends actually in the processing plant. He asked me if I wanted to, no pressure, if I wanted to have a talk about the experience. And my initial thought was, oh, no, I don't think I can. I think I'll cry because every time I talked a little bit about it to my workmates, I would have tears in my eyes. And I went back to my room that night, and lo and behold, what downloaded into my head was a whole speech. The whole spiel came to me of what I would say.
Wow.
And I related it back to mining. So the next day I caught up with him and I said, yes, I will do it. So I spoke to a group in the processing plant where everybody was so still and their eyes were just staring at me. And I had a few photos of mine to show on a PowerPoint. And I got claps at the end and people approaching me saying, thank you for sharing that with us. That's just you've just made us realize that we've got to put our life into perspective. We forget about that. We start worrying about the little things when we shouldn't be. I was petrified in that first talk. My hands were shaking because I thought, what am I going to do if I start crying? But I did get through it without one tear, which was really good. And then what happened after that was I got another 6 bookings.
Wow.
6 other departments heard about my talk and wanted me to come and talk to their crew, their team. And with each talk, I got more relaxed and I was able to speak better and I stopped shaking. And what happened in the end for me was it became therapeutic for me. It helped me deal with my emotions, with what I experienced.
So it was a big part of the healing process for you.
Absolutely. Not only at the same time helping people put their life into perspective and making them realize some of the things that they think and say are not so important. At the same time, it was healing me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good on you for doing that. That must have been my palms are sweating just thinking about it. But I can imagine that, well, I knew we had spoken a couple of times and I knew that you felt there was a reason and there was something powerful was going on.
Yes.
And when you told me that you'd spoken to the crew, I thought that's awesome. That's exactly what you needed to get out, the feelings that you were having about. Can you tell us how you related it to mining?
Yes. I even wrote a blog about it too. So if people wanted to read more about it, there is a blog on my Dump Truck Discovery website.
I'll leave a link to that in the show notes, madmumzie.com/beers15.
Yes. What I did was I was able to point out things that I did and didn't do that I had learnt from our safety meetings from being in mining. Now, straight after when the earthquake stopped, there was me and this other girl. We decided to run into the yoga room to go and get some mats and blankets because we didn't know what was going to happen after this. None of us had been in an earthquake before. And we ran into this building ever so quickly before the next aftershock came. And it wasn't until the end of the day when we went and inspected all the buildings, when we went to the other side of the building, the wall had broken away from the roof and it was on a slant 5 centimetres. That roof could have caved in any time. And I sat there and I thought, how many times in mining have we been told, inspect first before you do? You know, we have these little booklets that we have to tick off our inspections, you know, take fives, good to goes, whatever we call them. Each mine site calls them something different.
Yeah.
I didn't do an inspection. I just thought, got to get blankets, got to get mats. We'll need something to keep warm for the night. But then I also did something that's so ingrained in, I didn't realise was so ingrained in me. In the evening, when we were going to retire in our tents to sleep, we had been sitting in the middle of the garden. And so everybody just got up, left all the blankets and mats in the middle of the garden and started walking to their tents. And something inside of me, I don't know what, just made everybody stop. And I called everyone back and I said, no, this is not right. Collect all your blankets, fold them up, collect all the mats. Let's put them here under the gazebo where they'll be protected from rain just in case it rains. I looked at the owner and I said, do you have any spare flashlights? He came back with a big lantern and spare batteries and a big 4-litre bottle of water. It was like we put a little survival pack in the underneath this little gazebo.
Yeah.
And I said to everybody, right, now go to your tents. If we get an earthquake in the middle of the night, everybody get out of your tents and we're going to meet in this spot right next to the gazebo. Do we all agree? And they all said yes. And then I felt fine. It wasn't until I was home for 3 months when I realised what I did. And people in mining will understand this more. I created a muster point.
Yeah, an emergency muster point. That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have this in mining. If there's an emergency, we've got muster points where we all go and congregate, tick our names off the list, etc. And I did it naturally without even thinking. So,
And stepped up as a leader to the group as well.
yeah. And there was a few other little things too that I have learned from being safety conscious in mining. I brought it with me in an experience that I've never experienced before.
Well, thanks for sharing all that with us, Lisa. I know that it was a tough time and you've been back since, is that right?
No, I went back to India just this year in April, and I went up to northern India, which is at the foothills of the Himalayas. So still on the fault line, like what possessed me. But when I got there and saw the mountains at the foothills, I still felt calm and ease. The energy was just amazing from the Himalayas. And funnily enough, there was another earthquake, the one that happened in Afghanistan. So it was just across the border, really.
Wow.
And northern India felt aftershocks. Thankfully, the area I was in was supposed to have felt aftershocks, but I never felt them. So thankfully I hadn't, because I don't know how I would have reacted. Maybe been calm, maybe I would have been in shock again, I don't know. But so I was close. I don't know if I'm an earthquake magnet either, so.
No, we don't want to call you that. No earthquake magnets allowed. So looking onto the other side of that, the future, what do you think your next steps are?
It dawned on me that here I am, I've got a website, Dump Truck Discovery, where I'm helping people get into mining, where their main motivator is money. Maybe some people have got themselves in a situation that they need more money, maybe a relationship is separated, so now they have to provide for children. Maybe the debts have got too much and they don't want to lose their house. And so their main motivation is money. And here I am in this industry and I'm trying to get out now. So I'm helping people get in for money, but I'm trying to get myself out. But for me to get out, I still have to be able to make money. And for me, the way of the future is basically the internet. That's the new economy for me.
Me too.
Where I can work my own hours. I can take time off when I want to, not have a supervisor tell me you can or cannot have leave. I can spend time with my family when I want to, not be away for 7 days, or 14 days if you're on a 2-in-1 roster. So I want the freedom now, but also have the money. So my next projects are about making a passive income on the internet. And I'm going to invite people, even family, friends, people from Dump Truck Discovery Tribe who want to follow the journey to please do so, because maybe there might be some inspiration in there for them to also make money on the internet. If they're finding it difficult to get into mining, try the internet. There's so many different ways. Mining is not the only way to make money. So I'd like people to join me on this journey, and hopefully I can inspire people to do the same. And with my successes, I'll help people succeed as well on the internet.
I think that's such a great idea, and it's kind of bringing it all full circle, isn't it? You know, like you wanted to get into the mines, you've got into the mines, you've bought 2 houses, you've paid them off, you've been there for over 11 years, you've trained other people, you've helped other people, you went overseas, you had the big earthquake experience which made you look at your life in a whole new light, and you've come out of it wanting freedom but also wanting money, which when you get down to the tin tacks of what most people want, that's it.
Yeah.
The money to be able to live a free life, however you perceive that. And to start looking, that's awesome. And that's the journey that I am also on. And I think it's a big part of getting into mining is also planning your escape on your terms when you're ready to, and still have your relationships and your sanity intact.
Yeah.
And your finances, you know. And I think that's a great idea. So how can people follow along with that journey? Are you setting anything separate up?
I will set something. I haven't got anything set up separately just yet because I'm waiting for the name to come to me. I haven't come up with the name.
That'll come next week when you're driving up the ramp in your truck.
So I will be advising everybody on my Facebook page on Dump Truck Discovery. That will still stay open because obviously I enjoy helping people. So this new tangent that I'm going on is not just about making money, it's about helping people. So the new business I'm going to create is still going to be about helping people. If you can help people with the knowledge and skills that you have, I think that's more important to focus on rather than focusing on the money.
I totally agree, 100%. And I'll leave a link to your future self because I can go back and add it on, and who knows, it might be there before this episode is released because I'm actually a couple in front. Woohoo!
Oh, great. Hopefully I'll have it all set up by then as well. Yes.
Well, there's a goal for you. There's a little bit of a push.
Yep. Okay, well, let's put that first on my list.
Yes, up the list on the master list. Just let me know whether it's a Facebook page or a Facebook group or a website, you know, depending whatever path you choose, or all three. Let me know, and I'll definitely share it with the Beers with a Miner tribe and Mad Mumzie's tribe.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I think that might be a good place to finish, unless is there anything else that you wanted to share with us? Any other message that you wanted to get across?
All I'd like to see is for people to be really happy in what they're doing. So if you've got a passion for mining, go for it. Do not give up. I just had one guy send me a message, so excited. He'd been up north in the Pilbara driving a bus for 5 years, and he's finally got onto a dump truck training program. And he just says, Lisa, he just goes, tell everybody there at Dump Truck Discovery, don't give up, he says, because I never gave up. It took me 5 years, but I did it. So that just shows patience and persistence will lead to success in whatever you want to achieve. And that's what I wish for everyone.
That's a fantastic message. Thank you so much, Lisa. There's just one thing that, because we took off and got on a roll, I didn't ask you the most important question. Gee, I don't know if you thought you got away with it or not, but it's sitting right here looking at me. So this podcast is called Beers with a Miner, and I like to start or sometimes end these happy hour episodes with my guests sharing their favourite beverage and also their favourite time to enjoy it. It could be a beer, a wine, a spirit, or perhaps even a cup of tea. I'm thinking Lisa would be green tea kind of girl. What is yours, Lisa?
I do love herbal teas in the wintertime, but if I had to choose my favourite, it's a good red wine. Shiraz in particular. And I love to drink it when I'm eating a delicious meal.
Yum, that sounds nice. And there's a lot of good wineries over your way, is there?
Yes, down in Margaret River and Denmark Way, we've got a lot of good wineries to choose from. So with friends, we try different bottles every week, and we still haven't gone through the whole range that's available to us in WA. There's just so many to choose from.
Wow, I grew up in South Australia, and we used to go to the Barossa Valley all the time. Mainly I was a child, so I didn't get to do the wine tasting. But do you ever go down to the wineries and do the wine tasting?
Yes, still do. Yep.
Yeah.
Each time I go down to Margaret River, there'll be at least 5 new wineries that have opened up. So
wow,
it's big business down there, and they're kind of being new ones that open are becoming smaller and smaller. They're more like boutique wines, and so the specialties and they're putting a lot of care and love in their winemaking, and we're getting some really nice bottles of wine out of that region.
Oh, that's fantastic to see other things, tourism when there's a downturn in mining that's saving the country. Everyone else has to step up too, and it's really good to see things like our agriculture. Up here we've got a strawberry farm, and they've opened up now, and you go and pick your own, and they've got a cafe with Devonshire teas and scones, and they sell their strawberries on the highway. And there's a lot more push here in Queensland for homegrown, and the same with wineries. I think we've even got a few wineries, not so much up here, it's a bit hot.
Yeah.
But I'll leave a link to the Margaret River area if anyone's interested when you go over to WA. I am planning to get over there. My sister lives over there in Mandurah, so I really have to get over there again soon, and we will definitely catch up, Lisa. Perhaps you can take me to your favourite winery.
Absolutely.
And we'll share one of those red wines together over a lovely meal.
You give me a buzz when you get here, and I'll be there at your doorstep straight away.
Oh, sounds awesome. It's time to say goodbye now. We could chat all day, and I have been known to. All the links we discussed in this episode are at madmumzie.com/beers15. That's the number 15. And it's Mad Mumzie with a Z or a Z, depending where you're from. I would love you to please leave a rating and review on iTunes so more people can hear about the Beers with a Miner podcast. Head to madmumzie.com/iTunes to find the subscribe link. And please share with your mates. Thank you so much for listening. Until next week, stay safe, be real, be special, and have fun. For as Lisa says, we only live once. Cheers.